was trying to talk to her before. Linda, we're having technical difficulties. We're trying to get you on a projector, but we gotta do some computer weirdness.
Wait. So now I'm connecting as a panelist.
That's good.
Use assist.
This is good. Plug this guy into there. I believe that's how. And then. Sweet. There we go. Yes. That works.
I feel like a grandma when I'm watching someone do something. I'm like, did it work?
I know. Good.
Do you want me to grab you one?
No, I can't do that while I'm thinking. Maybe if there's one left over later, I'll grab one. If not, I will find something.
I can hide one for you if you want.
No, not necessary. Thank you, though. All right.
That's good.
I saw Ernest on Twitter said he was gonna be someplace else. I was like, Ernest, know what you're doing at First Tee when you have Human Rights Commission meeting?
What's first E?
It's
Baseball thing?
golf.
Oh, golf.
Yeah.
I guess they don't use
Like
tees
it's a
anymore.
city golf program.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard of that one, yeah. Gotcha. Well, we'd like to have you join us.
How does Linda sound?
How does this work?
I am okay.
Looking at the house next door, your porch edition.
Yeah.
Says
Oh, that's funny.
there with the contractor.
103.
It's the one towards Cavill.
No, it's for Cabell. What's her name?
Why is this?
I mean, I just talked to the contractor.
Yeah. I can't think of it. I should know my next one.
But, I figured if it were up in the-
She's doing it in the back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, like
like replacing a deck with a
Yeah.
covered thing.
Yeah, with a screened in kind of
Yeah.
situation. Nice,
But, yeah.
nice. And our asshole neighbor put a shed up in his backyard, so he doesn't have to look at our trashy backyard. So I'm super happy about that, cause it's dramatically improved the backyard in terms of how nice it's gonna be and how the patio.
Oh,
and
nice.
view and stuff. So I think he thought it was a real like fun deal, and we were like,
Yeah.
okay. Cause his big thing is, I'm gonna build a fence back here, and the whole neighborhood was like, that seems like a good idea. So, well, good,
But
good.
I guess you got new drywall.
Oh, we have all the things, all the things.
What's the timeline in the kitchen?
It's mid-July, so fairly soon. Cabinets are, most of the cabinets are in, there's still a few
Okay.
to go in, the tiles down in the bathrooms and in like the mudroom, and, they keep saying the tile's gonna be done this week, but I think that's not true, because there's no tile on any walls,
Yeah.
but, whatever.
This is.
They seem better, feel free to walk through if you're over there, I mean, the doors are always open, because people are in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, cause when I went in once the drywall went up, and I got a sense of like how the spaces were gonna be, my first thought was, oh, this is really small. I was like, oh, the house did not get like
No, there's, yeah.
bigger.
Right.
And you know how when there's nothing in the space,
Oh, of course, right, right.
So I had to sort of like take a deep breath and be like, it's not smaller than it was before,
Yeah.
and it's more open, so it shouldn't feel smaller, it should feel bigger. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how it turns out.
Let's see, where are we?
Going for minimal visibility.
Oh, that's smart.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. tempo has been very high lately.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
same.
you too?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
A
like,
lot of
since-
good things, but high tempo.
Well, school finished, and
Right.
like my work just like ramped up even
Mhm.
more. Like, my kids are home, but
Yeah,
Rebecca's home too, so
trying to get it all done.
so it's not really affecting me. But it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Summer's gonna be pretty packed.
Mm-hmm. You doing any travel or camps or anything?
No, that's a good thing. We don't have any big travel plans because I don't know how I'd fit that in. with everything else.
I'm dialing back on things.
Yeah.
I was working on the project that's finishing up. That's a volunteer thing, so that should be opening up space.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victoria, for getting us things from Roots.
Yeah, this is great.
It's transporting me back to college.
Not our idea.
But that was your idea.
It's like,
Teresa's? Who came up with this?
like me kind of dressing.
Like, you know, when we went to run
Love to.
time for us directly, which is.
Oh, Max.
Max, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Max.
she caught us, what was that? That was after council meeting. We bumped into her in the hall. That's right. It's like, somebody had this idea.
Yeah. We're grateful for it.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Max.
Takes a team. Anybody need a parking thingamajobber?
I do,
You do? Okay. You do? You
Right.
don't?
I do.
You do, okay.
at some point by the end of the evening.
I think that's the closest parking spot available.
Yeah. That kind of VIP pass.
Yeah. You one? You ride?
I'm on 2 wheels. Yep.
Cool.
Ah.
So good.
Mashallah, look at y'all.
Lindell, do you need a parking pass?
Oh, her audio is coming in very
Kinda quiet.
quietly.
It's coming out of
I can
something else?
hear- I think
Oh, is it coming out of
I think it's coming out of
the
the
laptop
podium
speaker?
speaker, yeah, or laptop speaker.
Is this on? If I turn the mic on, I could put it near the speaker of the computer. Or I could just back up and Remy will solve all the problems.
Remy to the rescue.
Anybody other than myself touching anything technical right now,
Yeah, sounds good.
for obvious reasons.
Sure.
I could hear that a little bit clear.
I didn't do it. Oh, I was gonna finish that email. That's right. Almost done.
Oh, any idea where your speaker is?
On that
Yeah.
computer? No, well, we can figure it out. I think it's kinda on the side, isn't it? Yeah, you're, you see, you're thinking the same thing I would. Here, Lindell, say something. Where is she? Is this it? That's a fan. We can hear you, but you're not coming through the big speaker because we have technical issues, and we're piping you through a laptop, and then trying to mic the laptop speaker. Victoria, do you know where the speaker is on your laptop? Is it in front? Like sing songs or something so there's continual sound and we can figure it out. No, don't do that. You're probably live. Say more words. Oh, look at that. I will talk. We can have feedback and figure out where the speaker is. Speaker is test, test. It's like mysteriously making sounds.
Sounds like the great options. Should I take it personally that everybody went silent on their side?
There was some that I see. We got 3 and 3. Oh, I'm being picked up. That's me.
Not hearing you come out, please. Is the sound also coming? No, it's not coming out of the big monitor. So you can mic the big monitor. Hi, Mary.
Greetings.
What deliciousness is this? A fabulous life.
Roots.
Alcohol and fruit. You can see everyone.
Take it with you. How are you? I am okay. Full house renovation mode, as you see. Oh, you didn't know that? We started,
I mean, I know it's been in the works for.
yeah, so we moved out of the house in March. And it will be done in a month, maybe? Been living with my sister-in-law. Yeah,
Is this exciting?
It is. This is our kitchen.
Will you actually like it? Oh, the kitchen's
Yeah,
nice.
I think so. Let's see.
So,
Yeah, I mean, yes.
And you have Andy to mind if it's terrible?
We have a contractor now who's like, sort of took these plans.
It looks gorgeous.
It's not great for it, just, you should get this great for it, that's just.
Remy, I could go get some speakers and we could put them on speaker real easy.
And I, and
give me one second.
those like that, I have got onto some, or just this stuff, but the windows are a little higher and then look at the
Yeah, but
side
they,
next to me.
we just need to be able to hear
So,
that.
I need, there was like kids, like you had like a relative's
There's a-
house and then.
That was
Oh, which one, so you,
I have some
you did the
computer
big, like
speakers
you're
that'll
the
be
house.
on the laptop.
The house that Charlotte lived in with my sister.
So you
she
might
died.
figure-
We were thinking about taking over that.
We just have the
house
feedback
and
problem.
doing a major renovation to it. And in fact, Andy made beautiful plans for it.
And then you just had
And
to go
then
with it.
Claude's mother was dying, like, it was you know, I'm on these sort of monthly calls of healthcare providers and, you know, as people are being like
It's on its way.
shipped to DC. I thought, well, maybe we'll go to DC because people are really staying in shelters. And everyone's so overwhelmed. There just wasn't a way, like I went up a
small scale.
It's like you do it here. Yeah, it's small, it's all small scale.
It would be interesting, because we had a bunch of cases when I was at LAGC, but they tended to be more known in Virginia. People denied housing because they didn't have social security. And those parties, according to laws, found illegal.
Right.
But I don't really know like how much.
Constantly
Stop
back.
paying
Yeah.
wonder what's going on
So even if it's not that, I think there's a lot, so I think
There's so many barriers, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's so many barriers. We have the overall housing crunch. Like, you know, you can also, I think here's some of the IRC folks,
Yeah.
right?
He's still sending.
You know, just kind of TSA.
Nothing since 6:10 when I
And-
sent it. Oh, here we go.
and the pen.
All right, here, it's finally coming through.
Look at whether the courts.
That's weird.
They're providing interpretation when it's not requested, right?
Yeah.
They,
I have it.
they're good if somebody asks.
Oh,
but
what?
I've seen usually when somebody doesn't ask and tries to muddle through it.
So, anyway, so I thought, like, that's something I think we can manage. I'm gonna use Kristen Clarence. She's the best. She's great. I guess one thing I'm wondering is like, with you folks at LAGC, do you guys have specific questions that like we could be gathering information on and giving you a report at the end?
I think the person to talk to might be Brenda Castaneda, you know her? Because she's at home now, and she's like,
It's not clear.
Well, that would be.
but that, she's doing it from a fair housing Act perspective, but she also did like, you know, because
You see
she's
this?
regular LAJC housing there.
And we
they,
can go to Richmond.
and they have testers too, so they can help you.
Yeah, one of my students, right, that was.
Yeah, I mean, she could, like, they could
Yeah.
review your
Was that
questions, and
so
say, this would be like a more
See
effective.
what it's doing, okay.
So I
Because usually.
I
you
reach
can
out
see it from
Yeah.
the
to
other.
them, maybe.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just like if I'm gonna do it, I'd like to have something like an academic paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still didn't get it. That's very
Oh,
weird.
okay.
I mean, I got it from
That's
you.
what- cool.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I still didn't get the one from Todd.
Let me see if you're on the Human Rights Commission distro.
It's not always delightful to be here. But I parked illegally, and, if I'd known we were gonna sit, I might have looked for a legal
Do you
spot.
wanna go?
Because a lot of things get sent to that.
We're
Um,
having tech trainings.
I think it's like, it's illegal, but I feel like it might be,
Okay, bye.
I've
Yeah,
now ordered.
you are on that.
I'm trying very hard
Together
to
as
find somebody.
You're on
Spelled
that
right.
Human Rights
Between now
Commission.
and my last meeting
And
today.
appears to be.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what. I got his email about the
Very
And everything feedback.
Gotta go to
is
spam.
I used to have my influence.
Your
I don't know why I
patience
would.
I have to Zoom to buy electric bikes for the.
Sorry, I'm a very oniony.
That's so awesome.
That would be.
A lot of.
From this.
Yeah.
Which one did you get?
The
I
southern one.
suspect that I'm gonna get this
I'm a
next
sucker
night,
for the
so,
a pickled onion,
No.
oh, really good.
the roasted broccoli, some feta cheese,
It's like gives me the sense of,
some garbanzo beans.
and she's going to
Nice.
K-Tech, and so it's
Get in there.
a shot, so figure.
My favorite one is like they're just their Caesar one.
Yeah.
You could probably hear them all.
Is it very crunchy?
I think everything.
Yeah.
I just think they have a little bit of extra sriracha, Caesar,
I'm literally
and
going
then
to
pita chips, chunks of chicken.
That's what the mic is on.
Under a nice crumbly kale.
Yeah.
It's not fun to wait.
Had cherry tomatoes. Very satisfying.
This one, so we can talk. Can you hear us again, guys?
Went into the kitchen, I was like, why are there these dumb drawers?
So we're gonna try something
I never
kind of
remember these
unusual.
drawers, so I went to the plan and unpacked.
Victoria's laptop is gonna be both the microphone
They're right there.
and.
Drawers
are
actually great.
Little
skinny
Well, no,
drawers.
that's
Yeah.
not good.
So there are,
Will we
I like the
capture
big drawers for, like,
audio
heavy
and
pots.
so right here, that's what these
Yeah.
are, right, that's.
Yeah, we
so
talk
they'll be
loud,
like this, and
yes.
that- And the pots will be
Okay.
there, and that's great,
All right.
but I don't know what I'm gonna do, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those drawers.
Did you have to take everything out of
Okay.
yours?
Two upstairs.
Let's see if we can-
Sometimes I look at like our house needs like the floors.
So these mics
I'm like,
have no
I'll just have to.
bearing on anything right
Hold
now.
on, hold
Shitty
on.
floor, because the idea of like, and we can't really even do one floor at a time because the steps are, like, it just, I don't know, we just condemned ourselves to that.
We can fit everything in the attic.
This
So our entire house is smushed into the attic, and there's one bedroom that we're not touching. And those two spaces are like filled to the brim.
You can see in the settings online.
So what's going on? Or having technical?
Our city space, video system isn't working properly, so, which means with the webinar, he can't run it from over there, and our mics don't work, and we can't get sound for those guys, and right now they're on the screen only because we've got Victoria's laptop running Zoom, and found a cable that will plug into that. But that also means that all the sound for the Zoom webinar comes out of her laptop speakers, and all sound going in is through there.
Does it make it inaccessible to the public also?
It will, kinda, yeah,
Make it hard to hear.
and hard to hear. And we may not actually be able to capture.
I can't get camera on that laptop.
Oh, you can't,
I
no.
can get audio, I can't get laptop. I can't
Sure.
get the camera, the camera's not showing up.
You want me to try?
Please. No, that's me.
So if you hit start video and it doesn't work?
About to have a meltdown.
Huh.
I just can't deal with anxiety.
I cannot, I'm not allowed to say it, because we just do not allow people to participate in this. People I like are saying that shit about crazy about it. Like, do you know in 2006, he voted for everything sex, right? He is the person responsible for the fact that there's not driver's licenses for undocumented people. He's literally the person. And
He has a lot to do with why you're just shooting up the bargaining.
yeah, and people are like, oh, but he's a nice guy, and he sounds
All right, now let's try.
he's not, I mean, and who cares anyway?
Good evening, can you hear us?
Yes. I mean, not feeling.
Immediately.
We can hear you, Jessica.
Oh, awesome, good evening.
Do we need any language knowledge?
Yeah, I know, I've seen that.
Do we not do you want to check those captions?
I don't understand. I was like, I thought it was sort of all good and fine, and then Simon Smith was like, this is gonna be a squeaker. And then I kept seeing people I like writing these long things in support of Crane, and it just made me crazy. Yeah, it was weird. I started listening.
Jessica, could you talk for me?
Yes, good evening, everyone.
And like going back a long time, and I told him, my son says white rumors and John's and I told him, and I told him, like, I will not divorce you if you go to Korea, but I will cow at you for 6 weeks straight in a way that will be very unpleasant. He's like, I've already figured it out, it's okay. There was a while when he was like, oh, you're both so good. I'm like, you're not really, no, you're really not both so good. What do you think of his team offer has been shot? It's hard to say because and she's got so much money and she's
Okay.
If you know, you know, and
it's disgusting.
it is disgusting. It is disgusting.
Has anyone heard from Ernest?
I just was hoping.
Ernest is playing golf. I saw it on Twitter.
I was hoping for
So he won't be in until tonight. Okay. Are we ready to get started?
Yes.
I think so, let's give it a shot.
Jessica, can you hear me from over here? kind of distant. So we'll need to
Yeah.
speak. Okay, it shows up on the closed captioning, so that's good. I'm thinking about this from the perspective of Jenny trying to type minutes from this, so, and I assume this is recording, is that correct? Okay. Ooh, let's give it a shot. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for bearing with us.
Sure. All right, so we're gonna officially call this meeting to order at the time, 6:52 p.m. Eastern. Just can't see him on camera. So we're gonna call this to order, and Todd, we're gonna do roll call.
Okay, Jessica.
Here.
Ernest is not here. Jeanette?
Here.
Mary?
Here.
Wolfgang?
Here.
Catherine?
Here.
I know Suzanne is out. Sandy?
Here.
And Lindell?
Here.
Okay.
And just knowing that Liddell, for our notes, is virtual and the chair is also virtual tonight. Okay. It's an odd, like, silence when I'm done talking, so, if tonight y'all can bear with me with just the respond back, it'd be helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and recite our mission. Act as a strong
advocate
to justice and equal opportunity by providing citywide leadership and guidance in the area of civil rights.
So Tom, I'm not sure like that, if it's me or just the audio keeps cutting out.
If it's you or, oh, the audio keeps cutting out? I don't know. Yeah. It sounds clear from my end. We can hear you. Can you?
I think y'all audio is cutting out. Maybe it's just me. Lindell, did you hear their audio? Like I heard part of y'all saying it, and then I didn't hear it anymore. I heard part of it.
Is it better if we talk into the mic?
Yes, that would be better.
Oh gosh, no.
It's better now. I hear y'all now. All right. So the notice for members of the public participating virtually. If you experience technical difficulties, you may call 434-703-115, and the staff member will assist you. Is that the correct number, Todd?
Yeah.
Right. So we will open up if there's any comments from the public. And if you're, sorry, I have to read this. The commission welcomes comments and questions and commits to listening carefully and thoughtfully to what's presented. A maximum of 15 public comments time slots are allowed per meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. The commission requests that members of the public refrain from engaging in personal attacks against commissioners and staff members and ask that comments and questions focus on matters related to human rights in the city. So do we have any public comment?
We have no hands raised at this time.
And if you're on this phone, you can press star 9 to join. So there is no commission response to matters by the public because there were no comments. So we'll move down to approving of minutes. So we have to approve May 4th, 2023 HRC work session. How are you going to do a roll call?
Yep. Anybody, no discussion on that? No amendments or anything? Okay. Jessica?
Approve.
Jeanette?
Approve.
Mary?
My apologies, I abstain. I was not present.
Okay.
Should look that up.
Catherine?
Approve.
Andy?
Abstain.
And Lindell?
Abstain.
I also approve.
Wolfgang, did I skip you?
Yeah.
Oh, you already did. I marked Mary as you. Thank you. You approve. Okay. So that's a majority of people present, so. There you go.
we have to approve, so we have to approve, June 12th. Date, that date can't, right?
Oh, look at that. I think in my hurry to type this out, so correction in the agenda, that would be the
May
18th. Yeah, I think that's the day I was typing this agenda. In a hurry.
Okay.
Can I change my vote then? Because I was present on May 18th.
Well, that's the next one.
Oh, I see, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. So
Okay,
let the record show that the minutes labeled 6/12/2023 HRC regular meeting minutes in the agenda should actually be 5/18/2023. And 6/12 was just when I was typing this up. My apologies. Didn't see that. All right.
We didn't meet that day. So is there any discussion?
Okay. Ready for the vote?
Yes.
Jessica?
Approved.
Jeanette?
Approve. Thank you.
Mary?
Approve.
Wolfgang?
Approve.
Can you forget you that time? Catherine?
Approve.
Andy?
Yes.
And Lindell?
Same.
Okay. And it passes.
Question, did we clarify if voting remotely counts?
Voting remote.
It does,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it does count for, Liddell and I because we requested permission to be virtual.
Cool.
All right, so then we have chair updates. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just like eerie quiet. So one of the things that I wanted to share is that, I mean, it's different in this virtual space, but we're back in person. I know we got into a really great rhythm. We were in the virtual space to give pause, for the chair to be able to pick on every person to speak. If you had either raise your hand or a visual cue to me or you message me. I'd love to get back to that even in our in-person space. I think in our in-person space, we're speaking often just freely, and it's hard for me to track. It's hard for minutes to keep an eye. And I know that there's an awkward pause always. It's really intentional on my end because I want to give room for everyone to be able to speak. And I'm also scanning the room. Depending on where I'm sitting on, I can't see everyone, so I'm having to turn my head to see everyone. And so I know it's awkward, but please it really is intentional. And so I love that our commission has been on here so long. We've had the same people over and over again, but I just wanted to, that was such a great practice we had in Zoom, and just wanted to continue that in our in-person space. And special thanks to Todd for presenting the report to City Council. I really appreciate your just the questions, and I really appreciate that City Council seemed to be very engaged with what we were doing. Do you have questions for me before I turn it over to Todd? And Todd, in the future, I know there was like a comment at the end with City Council where they were asking you about like you presenting versus us presenting.
Mhm.
And I really wanted you to present because you and your team had did a lot to put the report together, but there was some discussion about that with City Council. So I just wanted to make sure that we're doing our part to also support you as you're supporting us. I don't want it to feel a burden on you.
No, not a problem. And maybe, I think I may have said this in the meeting, like trying to remind them that you all are volunteers, and, you know, making sure that we respect the time that you contribute. And so it did sound like maybe for the next report, which I assume maybe same time next year, if we and I can ask them again too, right? Just check in like months in advance and say, are you expecting a representative from the commission to be present? And then we can plan ahead and make sure that that's possible. I think sounded like mostly they wanted to maybe ask questions about the commission or something like that. But again, and maybe just hear it directly from a commissioner, but we'll confirm that as we approach next year so it's not a surprise. Does that seem good?
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to in viewing it, it just seemed more negative that we, at least how I interpreted it, that we weren't there or didn't represent when we knew that you were going to be presenting. So that's why I'm bringing it up, because I don't want to seem like we're not doing our part when we'd already discussed kind of how it was going to be. That's all.
Yeah, that's a good point. And just trying to figure out what council's expectation is maybe the next move, right?
Yeah, we can get clarity from them. I just want to make sure that we're doing our part as commissioners, and the weight is not all on your team. So at the same time, I want to give credit to your team for all the hard work that you're doing. And there is a very difference of being volunteering in our time commitment versus full-time FTE staff that are working endlessly on what you guys are doing to make a huge impact in the city.
Appreciate that.
It just kind of felt like a us versus them. That's all I'm commenting on.
Mm.
Yes, I think I see your hand, Jeanette.
I didn't know you could see us.
Yeah.
I wonder if when we submit our legislative priorities, that would be a good time for commission members to be there. Because isn't that on the off schedule?
So when we present the legislative priorities, we usually just send
Yeah.
a written statement. There's nothing to say that you couldn't join in for public comment to present,
Yeah.
or make a comment about having presented or submitted them. Yeah, it's what is tricky is just making sure, like, if you want to be on the agenda, I usually need to know like roughly 2 months in advance, because I have to get on and find a space, maybe even more. So if there's a time you want to be on council agenda, I need to know pretty far in advance. It's just because they have this like kind of, and if there's like any written thing that I need to submit, I have to do the memo and kind of get it all approved. Kind of, there's a chain. It's a recent change in the process. So yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, I think we should plan for presenting to council about our legislative priorities. It seems to me like we send letters and they don't get responded to, they don't get discussed, right? It's an exercise in our deciding what we think is important, but at least if we showed up there, I think they have to look at us and perhaps respond in some way. So
I agree.
Jessica? So would you like me to ask them, maybe tell me what month? Typically, I guess we present legislative agenda items late August to early September to sort of get ahead of their submission to the Thomas Jefferson Area Planning District. Do you want me to request to get on like a meeting, a council agenda in August, like late August? Would that be good for that purpose? Okay.
I happen to know that August is full already.
Is it?
Yeah. But we
both meetings?
Yeah. Because we got bumped to September.
Yeah, it's hard.
But we could join in the comment, as commenters.
And yeah, you could always do
Yeah.
public comment. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it cut out, but you're recommending us to do public comment for August meeting?
Yeah, so if you want to be it, thanks Jeanette for letting us know about that. If you want to be on an agenda, we couldn't do it in August because it sounds like the agendas in August are already full. But we could potentially, I could ask about September agendas, or you could just show up at public comment for any of them. And that's also possible. So kind of your choice,
Okay.
what do you want to do?
I think we should try to get on their agenda. It doesn't hurt to also get on, just be there for public comment.
Okay. You want me to ask about September agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, Todd, I'll turn it over to you for, ORH staff.
Okay. Let me just jot a note here about the legislative. So I don't have any big things to announce this month from my end of things. I'm gonna scroll through. You got the report in the agenda packet, so we're working on the same stuff. I think at this point, one of the things we're really trying to work hard on in the office is minimizing the navigational stuff that we take on. If you notice, I think this data set has it. Yeah, May, 91% of what we were doing time-wise ended up being navigational, and I can say, without revealing much, that was one or two people really taking up some time, and we've had to make some hard decisions about saying to people, no more, and especially because it's not complaint-related work. And so we're really kind of reforming some practices in the office to make sure that is consistent for us going forward, because we just get so many requests for so many other things that we have to draw a line. So we're working on that. So that's one piece that I could say. And we're developing some tools around that as well. But I may just turn it back to Victoria for her outreach updates, with the caveat that we are getting the investigator hiring process going. So just at its very start at this point, I'm working with HR on that, but so that's the next move on the staffing front. So that's exciting. And then Victoria, if you'd like to take it.
For sure. So kind of the thing that I think is probably maybe there's two biggest ones, but the biggest one that just happened is we wrapped up the video that we've been working on, the animated one, with the graphic artist in Richmond. And so that's done. It's about 2 minutes long. It features the voices of everyone I think minus you.
Yeah.
Everyone in our office, at Home to Hope staff, and also Downtown Job Center staff, and also our team. So that's pretty exciting. And it ties into our second exciting news, which is we will be showing it for the first time at our open house.
The premiere.
Yeah! So if you all are obviously very invited. We'd really much love to have you. If anybody wants to get the invitation by email, please let me know. Just RSVP is not required, but yes, encouraged, so we can get a good head count going for food, which will also feature there.
Can you just send it to the whole commission?
Oh yeah,
That
can
would
do.
be great.
Totally. I think besides that, it's getting to be events season. So we have a couple that we are involved in coming up. There's actually one this weekend, which we are not tabling at, but we will have some of our information available. It's the Juneteenth parade that's going on from, I think it starts at 7 or 8 in the morning, and festivities will go on until 3 p.m. at the Jefferson School. Besides that, we're participating in a couple of community events with Region 10 and with FAR. And then as the summer rolls out, we're starting to work on getting tables for Pride and Civil Sabroso, like we did last year. So if any commissioners would like to show up to these and table with us, you're again invited, and I can send out more sort of concrete details about tabling opportunities as they arise. So that's pretty much it for outreach, unless anybody has questions. Yes. Yes. Sorry, in August 4th.
Yes, please send us out table this opportunity if you
Can do.
I had a question and a comment. One, I'm available to table for the Juneteenth event, if you need somebody.
I don't think they're not, we're not tabling for that.
Should we explain?
We can.
Yeah, so we were going to co-table with, the Albemarle Office of Equity and Inclusion, but the actual leadership of the Juneteenth event is exclusive to African Americans. Participants are welcome from, regardless of background, but for actual people behind tables, they said exclusively African American, so we could not present at the table. And that's okay, we said, we're fine with that, and we're lucky that our counterparts in
The county.
The Office of Equity and Inclusion in Albemarle would put our materials on their table.
I'll keep in mind
Yep.
the future dates then for tabling.
Mhm.
So there's plenty of
Agreed.
opportunities.
But it should be a great parade if you, everybody's invited to attend. They were just very sort of respectfully asking that administrative integrity be what it.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
We respect that. It's a, from their perspective, it's an African American holiday celebrating, like basically as they framed it, it's the African American 4th of July, and so they're really trying to be very intentional about who presents the event, and that seemed fair.
Yeah. Did you have another?
Question was, I noticed from the number of incoming, outgoing contacts, they really, they almost tripled in May. And I
Yep.
was curious as to what was a part of that.
Yeah, without sharing too much personal information, it's been probably a couple of individuals who needed or asked for an extreme level of support, which we attempted to accommodate for a while and unfortunately had to say no to recently, which is not easy. But yeah, I think that's particularly what that is. It's been a learning experience for our office, and we're really trying to kind of gain some knowledge through those experiences and develop some new practices to make sure that we don't kind of go down those paths as often. But good question. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and you noticed you had said that for the navigation, but I noticed the total number of contacts was high too. So that's just kind of showing what we
Yeah, I
were
think-
experiencing from navigation. From
Yeah,
those.
exactly.
a couple of
exactly.
individuals. Okay.
Those incoming outgoing contacts, yeah, tended to be higher generally, but also extremely focused in that navigation and advocacy area. Yep.
Oh, okay, that was my question. Okay, I'll ask another question. What is the current status of the FAP work share agreement?
Yeah, so great question. So my thought on that, timing wise, for the year, right? I wanted to get through our annual report, which we did, yay. And then I wanted to get the investigation process or investigator hiring process underway, because that hiring is a huge endeavor in the city because there's like a lot of steps. And the reason also to pursue it this way is that I want to make sure we have the infrastructure to enter interim certification to actually meet whatever need comes down the line. We have a pending FOIA request from HUD to actually get the numbers back to say, like, how many cases should we be anticipating based on the last 5 years of data that you have? We haven't gotten a response yet, but when we do, I think that'll be very informative. So my thinking is get that hiring process underway. In the meantime, we'll start modifying the ordinance.
Yeah.
And Jenny's been working on a little piece of it because I think there's some other pieces we can further tweak kind of as part of the package. It'll be mostly on my plate because I was in the meeting with Eric to then modify the things that he suggested with regard to substantial equivalence to federal fair housing law, get it back to him for review. My goal would be to get it on an agenda like late fall, winter of this year. But I just want to make sure that I don't think it's anything to rush into, just given what we've already learned about the workload and the cases that we currently manage. And so do it well, do it right is kind of my thought. And so, yeah, that's kind of my thinking. I don't think the amendments will take very long. I think the hardest part is getting it on council's agenda again. So,
Fair.
yep, but we'll definitely work on that. And that reminds me to like, maybe I'll ask, if I get myself a target, meeting, that will be helpful for the future, so I'll ask, when I'm asking about legislative agenda, I'll ask about when can we get on to the other thing. Yeah. Maybe we double them up, I don't know. Any other questions about stuff in the report? Maybe also just to note, I forgot to say it, you'll notice at the bottom I added like the summary of the actions that you all have done, the commission itself has done in the year, cause I think that was missing from our report before, but it's something we include in the annual report, so that those parallel better. I'm gonna start including those things at the bottom, just in a chart format, just simple summaries of what you've done thus far, so, if you notice anything that I've missed, please let me know, but we've tried to track it pretty well, we have a tool for that now, yeah, wanna keep including the work that you're doing, making sure it's out there. And that'll go, the next time this goes to council will be in July for a quarterly report, so next month. Wow, yeah, next month already. That's all, Jessica, we pass it back to you. I don't know if you can you see us?
I can just see Jeanette and then everyone from Jeanette on.
Oh, gosh, okay. We don't know what you can see, sorry about that, yeah, so passing it
No,
back
I'm
to
good.
you in an invisible
Yeah,
way.
I heard you. Sorry, just to give it a pause. Trying to take in, when you guys, multiple people are talking at different times, it's kind of hard, the captions only pick up one person talking, so just trying to hear everything that y'all are saying. So now we're moving on to the draft resolution for A21-1 housing advocacy priorities. So Jeannie put this together for us. Do we have comments or we have to have a discussion about this? The only question I had, Todd, was, one immediate thing that I had was, doesn't it have to be in the whereas format? Whereas the Human Rights Commission, et cetera,
So, when you passed your plain language resolution, we decided to write all resolutions in plain language, just from the get-go, so we didn't do it that way. We just went ahead and put it in plain language right off the bat. I don't know that we'd have any trouble doing it this way, so like, let's go for it. It's really internal for you, and as long as it's understandable, I think the point gets across and it's official, so.
Did you say it's internal for us?
Yep, in the sense that you are codifying what you are proposing to focus on as a commission with regard to housing, this year.
Right, but it's not internal in the sense that this goes to city council.
Everything for you is public, so it's still public, but it focuses on the internal function of the commission and its objectives, so, if that makes sense. And so.
No, I was asking, doesn't this have to get submitted to city council, is what I'm asking?
No.
Okay.
Your resolutions, you pass resolutions within the commission to codify your work, right, and the actions that you are choosing to do. And so you sign that as chair. It doesn't go to council. Council does its own resolutions, and they still use the whereas format, but we've shifted to the plain language format, and that's what we tried to replicate here.
Okay. Does anyone else have comments, questions?
This is Jeanette. I sent one comment via email. I'm not sure if it was, if I was like missing the bigger context, but the second bullet talked about pushing the city to enact policies that will preserve and increase Charlottesville's racial diversity. And I wondered if we wanted to include, encouraging the city to enact policies that would do all of the above, not just on racial diversity. So the way I worded it was advocate to city council to enact policies that will put into practice each of the above recommendations, including preserving and increasing Charlottesville's racial diversity, housing equity, and affordable housing. necessary? Or do others
No,
have
I
comments?
agree, I was just waiting for
Yeah.
our chair to.
Oh, sorry, y'all always have to wait for me to respond. I'm sorry, I intentionally paused, and I want y'all to respond. I think your suggestion is fine, Jeanette. It's not all on me, though. Everyone has to be consistent.
Just to be clear, I guess I didn't mean waiting for you to respond with your opinion, but waiting for you to ask us to speak. Like, I don't want to speak out of turn.
Oh, yeah, I can't see that you're just
Yeah.
kind of, like, it's kind of hard to see y'all. So, like, if you just say, hey, it's Jeanette, or hey, put your name, then you can move forward.
Okay.
Because I can only see, like, one half of the table. So I'm sorry I missed you were raising your hand.
So I support that.
Hey, it's Wolfgang. I also support that. Do we discuss, since it's a proposal, to change the document? And it's written?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
There is.
There's a consensus we don't have to,
I
right?
think there's a consensus, yeah, we're good to go.
I think I see someone's hand raised.
No, thumbs up.
Yep.
We're thumbs up,
We're
but
just-
I
we're
got
just-
a consensus, so we
Okay.
can probably move to a vote. Do you want to call for a vote, Jessica?
Were there other
Yeah.
items?
Are
Yeah.
there any other, I was trying to see if there were any other comments.
This is
Did
Wolfgang.
everyone provide consensus?
Okay, this is Wolfgang. I have my hand metaphorically and physically raised. So great. I love that suggestion. I don't know if we're voting on that particular thing or the whole document. Don't want to belabor it. The whole thing. Okay, there's a little bit of like red text that's in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere, so we probably want to get rid of that. It's a very tiny thing. Other than that, I'm good to vote.
At the red text, this is Andy, I was just looking at, like, it doesn't quite read as clearly as it could. I wonder if that's why it's red text. More affordable and other housing, like, that's,
Accessible.
but that's, I mean, it seems a little unclear. So it would be,
So I think the point of that is, and maybe I'm just reading my own bias into it, is that we need more housing. That more housing will lead to more affordable housing. So we need substantially more housing with an emphasis on affordable housing, perhaps? Would that make it clearer? So work to undo racial discrimination codified in our zoning with a focus on the creation of substantially more housing, particularly affordable housing, or, I don't know.
More housing with an emphasis on affordable.
It's like with a focus on the creation, with an emphasis on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's fine. I think this is an internal document.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be laboriously eloquent, as long as it's clear, right?
I love it and I think it's great. I just wanted to make sure that red text wasn't just like an error before we like put it on our website, that it's the final draft.
Would someone like to read that sentence in its entirety and say how you'd like it changed, so we make sure we write it correctly for you?
Want to do that?
Sure. Work to undo racial discrimination codified in our zoning with a focus on the creation of substantially more housing, comma, with an emphasis on affordable housing, such as work to support the rezoning efforts underway in the city. Is that clear? Sufficient?
This is Jeanette, I find it clear.
Okay, so you're recommending to change the fifth bullet down to what you just read, Wolfgang?
Yes, and Andy has written it down too, so we have it.
And Andy and Catherine.
This is Jeanette. Jeanette, just to add another comment, do we want to switch the order and focus on affordable housing? I know that's a small thing, but
Sure.
yeah. Substantially more affordable housing.
No,
No.
oh, sorry, no.
No.
The whole point was substantially more housing
Okay.
Overall.
overall.
Great, gotcha.
So with this change and also Jeanette's change, then everyone's in agreement with this resolution?
I am.
So just for record, I'll read, well, Jeanette already read it, but is it clear to everyone what Jeanette's changes were? Okay.
Yes.
So with 2 changes, then we're all in consensus and then can vote?
Yes.
Okay, Todd, do you want to do a roll call or
Sure.
vote call?
Roll call vote coming up. Jessica,
Approved.
Jeanette,
Approved.
Mary,
Approved.
Wolfgang,
Approve.
Catherine,
Yes?
Andy,
Yes.
Linda.
Approved.
And it
All right.
passes. We'll get those changes for you, and make a new document, and then, would you like me to email it to you, Jessica, for signature?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Quick reminder, if everyone could talk into their microphones and make sure they're unmuted. The Zoom isn't taking that audio, but it's good for the stream, and it actually, I think I've got the speaker situation figured out to where it won't feedback.
Good. I just turned it back on. I was worried
Cool.
about the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I got it figured out now.
Okay, so we're moving to action updates. How was that?
I have an update. Is that
Okay.
okay? So, I did miss one of the meetings I was supposed to attend because I had a conflict with something I couldn't move. But I wanted to, let the commission know that, there's a coalition, that includes Livable Seville working on a, sort of consensus letter that will be public, and they're gonna want, organizations to sign on to it, around, supporting generally the changes in the zoning code and making suggestions about how to improve the zoning code so that there will be more housing, more affordable housing, more equity in the plan. I guess that's going to come out sometime in the next, I think, week or so, and gonna want to be able to get signatures rapidly. Would we all feel comfortable with letting Jessica go ahead and sign that on our behalf when it's available?
This is Wolfgang. I would- definitely would.
Jeanette, I do too. And I've read the draft of it as well. So.
Catherine, can you send that to me when it is available?
Oh, yeah.
And is that something we can do, Todd? I was like, I'm checking with Todd, because I don't want to get us in trouble.
Yeah, so from 2 different standpoints, I guess. One, you have a resolution that says that the chair can take action between meetings on behalf of the commission, because that was something we had talked about before, like how do we resolve that when we want to be able to take quick action? Number 2, yeah, I think you guys can sign on to letters. Just as a commission, I don't see any particular conflict in saying that you support, a certain proposed way of moving forward with the zoning ordinance. I don't think that's a problem. That falls within your role as you're providing advice to council in that sense, and you're saying, we agree with this position. You can do that. Did that answer your question?
Yes, Todd. And Catherine, was that all of your updates?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone else who need to provide updates from meetings they may have attended?
This is Jeanette. I have an update. The Seaville Plans Together Steering Committee had our final meeting where we reviewed the third module of the zoning ordinances. The presentation is available online. I can share that with everyone. It's, I recommend like some of the support documents, the one that Catherine referred to, are much more digestible than, you know, but both are very interesting. So that's that's the end of a 2-year-long community engagement process. So this letter that will be going out, I think, will be very important as we move to the final stages. And I was also supposed to attend the PHA meeting, and there was no one on. I had a hard time connecting, so I'm not sure what the problem was. I apologize about that. Jessica, I don't know if you can tell, but we just got some background music in the going on here.
As if we didn't have.
I heard something.
Yeah, it's rocking.
It was very
You're killing
faint.
it.
Those are my updates. Thank you.
Is there any actions from that, Jeanette?
I will share the third module slides if folks are interested, and then I think Catherine's action is aligned.
Okay. Anyone else have an update?
I don't really have an update, but I did want to say, you know, I drafted this, and as I read it, it actually commits us to doing a lot of things. And we're not doing all of those things now, so it seems like at some point we want to have we should have a discussion about kind of what we're really taking on. I mean, for example, seeking reparations for those harmed by the destruction of Vinegar Hill, like, that is very compelling to me. On the other hand, we're not doing anything related to that, right? So, so taking this and deciding on the work plan for the year, like, what we're really grappling with this year, I think would be helpful. Because I think I may have just included everything that seemed compelling to my head in there as I drafted it.
This is Jeanette. Mary, I'm glad you brought that up. As I read it, I was thinking of it more as work to support, or support the work that others are doing, because I think as a body, the actual work we do is very limited, as you said. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to mention that. I wonder if you...
just for...
I was going to make a proposal that we could tweak that language a little bit to say, support work toward ensuring in each of the areas. I don't know if that waters it down too much, but that would be one option.
So just for the record, y'all are going back on a different point.
Yes.
And so, I'm sorry, to change the text for the resolution we just agreed to sign, to reflect that we want to change it to say that we're in support of these efforts with others within the community.
Personally, I don't object to changing it, but I would also be comfortable with our sort of crafting a work plan that's derivative of this, that, I mean, in lots of strategic plans, right, there's lots of things and we can prioritize in any given year. So I guess I'm open to recrafting it if people think it's important, but I guess I'm not convinced it's necessary to do so now.
I'm fine with just moving ahead with the work plan.
I don't know who just spoke, but that wasn't
Sorry.
clear what you just said.
I was supporting what Mary said. Let's just move ahead with the work plan. We don't really need to change the resolution per se.
Any more comments about the resolution? Let's see with that.
It looks good.
Are there any actions that anyone else wanted to share?
This is Catherine. I don't know if this is our next agenda item or if we should talk about it now. I can't come to the next work session, but I'm going to propose what people do at the next work session. How's that? We talked earlier about legislative priorities, and I think I've found.
So, Catherine, hold on. Sorry, we keep jumping around on this agenda, and it's driving me a little crazy. Can we save that for the next one? Because we do have to talk about if we want to have the next work session, which would be great for what you want to discuss. I just want to make sure there's no more discussion around the action updates.
Okay, I wasn't sure if this was action or if this was whatever. So fine, we can wait.
Yeah, this was action updates. If anyone else had any more things to contribute or share out on meetings that they've attended.
No one is raising their hand.
Okay, if there is no one, yes, feel free, Catherine, to share topics for the next work session. And then for this section, we'll need to talk about if we want to host our next work session, which would be the first Thursday in July, which is, I think, the 6th.
Yes, I
Go ahead,
sadly
Catherine.
will be in Lisbon and cannot host it.
Humble brass.
I'm sad. I feel like that we each year spend a fair amount of discussion item on potential legislative suggestions to council. And I'm wondering if we can put that on a work session agenda, but also put it on a work session agenda with maybe some time limits around it or something. I think we to council, but in a vacuum, not much happens with them. And it always, you know, sort of thinking back over the years, it doesn't strike me as a great use of our time to spend a lot of time on legislative proposals, unless there's something really brewing that seems like it's really going to have some action taken on it. Does that make sense? No? Okay.
Alright, this is Wolfgang. Sort of clarifying question. Do you mean like the resolutions that we write and propose to council, or do you mean the legislative agenda that we write every September?
The legislative agenda that we propose every September, because to really be meaningful, it would need to be something that there's already, you know, there are other organizations working on, right? That there's probably some bills coming forward on, you know what I'm saying?
I would also suggest that, I mean, if there's something that we really want to support, that we need to do more than send a note, right? And, you know, that we need to, if we really think there is a thing that can pass that we want to put our weight behind, then we should be meeting with members of the city council and asking if they will support our proposals and not just sending a letter. And I take responsibility as chair. All I did was send a letter. So I think right now it's a little bit of an exercise in us expressing an opinion to ourselves.
So Kevin, I just missed the, I heard what you said about it's not a good use of our time to be drafting. That's what I heard, to be drafting the resolutions, but what was your?
Not resolutions.
Is that correct?
Sorry, not resolutions.
The legislative?
The suggestions for the legislative agenda. Sending a laundry list of suggestions for the legislative agenda does not feel like it's been a good use of our time. And so I'm suggesting that we carve out some time in a work session to see if there's anything meaningful that we can suggest, but then that we not spend, I'm proposing we not spend a lot of time on that, just as sending a list, unless we have something that we can really work on meaningfully.
Okay, so in addition, so you're proposing that for this one, not focusing on the issues that we have about housing, but maybe setting this work session to talk about meaningful issues that we want to bring up to city council about the legislative agenda items?
No, that's not exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
So we just had a discussion earlier in the meeting about going to city council to publicly present our suggestions for the legislative agenda. Did I misunderstand that? We talked about that, right? And if we are going to do that in August or September, that at least in July, and we should be talking about what we might want to suggest. Right, what are we gonna go to them and talk about? And if we're gonna go to them and talk about something, that it needs to be something that we've really thought about carefully, that we have something more than just an idea that this would be a thing that could, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, I'm suggesting that go in our work session.
Yeah, this is Wolfgang. I have a, I agree that we spend, I think it's a very short amount of time that we spend on those ideas. I know because I've written a lot of them, I just not thrown out like, this is a great thing, this is a great thing. And then there's no follow-up on those. And it might make it more meaningful if when we choose what the legislative agenda is, we then follow up during Virginia General Session and we find things that we might be able to support that impact Charlottesville, that, hey, you should support this particular bill. And that way it sort of has this yearly cyclicality and meaning to it. But that would require us to make commitments, sort of planning now for what that legislative agenda is, and then follow up that in January.
Well, I don't think we can do what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, we
But
can't
then-
go directly to the General Assembly as commissioners, so.
But is there some meaning that we could be like, hey, these are bills that would impact our locality, that would impact affordable housing, so we can amplify those as like, that we can amplify these as like additional stakeholders as we amplify other community stakeholders? No, we cannot.
So-
Todd is shaking his head.
Jessica, may I jump in? Yep. So let's, just want to make sure we understand. So your role is to advise council. It's not to act independently of council, so you got to be careful. I do think that it makes a lot of sense to align your legislative recommendations with what you talked about in your retreat. You've identified housing as your priority. You've proposed some broad areas of focus around housing, and as Mary was talking about, narrowing it down, because you're not going to be able to do all that. And if you can narrow down what you're focusing on within housing and then seek input, you can definitely seek input. We've talked about that, right? You can go to meetings like you've done, right? You've set up these liaisons. You can ask legislators to come to your meetings and talk about what bills are being proposed at the General Assembly. You can do all that, gather your facts, then narrow it down to provide some legislative recommendations around your area of focus to council. And then talk about your strategy for presenting those and talking with counselors so that it's harder to ignore, I guess, is the point, because sending letters they get a lot of stuff. and I think, and when Jessica and Ernest met with Michael Payne, the advice that he gave them was, you've got to be consistent and you've got to bring it up multiple times. So you develop your strategy, know what you're focused on, get your information straight, and then provide a really solid set or a single recommendation, and do it multiple times in multiple ways.
So, Todd, just a question about the process. If we write a compelling letter to City Council, are we permitted to CC our local delegate, state senator, like, you know, as the, you know, information, this is something we have sent to the City Council?
Public record, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I assume we can do that, but I'm just, you know,
I assume you can. I think that I'm trying to think about how does that affect your relationship with council? Like, because you're kind of giving them a recommendation to send to send TJPDC to ultimately send to the General Assembly, instead you're going straight to the.
to be fair, they haven't taken a single one of our recommendations, so I'm not sure how.
Understood. And part of that, I think, is about how do we strengthen the relationship between council and the commission, right? When I sent during the presentation of the 2022 annual report, and then when I sent the amended version the other day, I said, reemphasizing, the commission is here to advise council. You created this commission to advise you on human and civil rights issues. But they need to hear from you. If you want them to do things for you in that advisory capacity, you need to talk to them. And so we need to strengthen that relationship. And I think this is a venue for that, right? You can say, hey, you have an ordinance that says we're going to give you advice about legislative issues, but if it feels like we're providing those legislative recommendations and they're not being looked at, then that doesn't feel very useful of our time. So how can we strengthen that relationship so that what we're providing you is useful to you, such that you actually do something with those? And I think that's part of it. Maybe how can you talk to council in a more active way so that they take your advice to heart?
Lindell, you have your hand raised.
Yes, thanks. I'll be really honest and say that I've kind of lost track of things because it feels like we're bumping around a lot. I mean, everything is, it's not that anything that's being said is not important. It's just hard to follow everything. And I'm worried that there were members of the public, they feel the same way. It doesn't feel as though we're following the process. And Jessica, I really appreciate the fact that you have tried to keep us on some sort of agenda. I guess what I'm trying to say is, first, I agree with what Todd said. I appreciate Todd's advice to us, and I think that we should follow it. Jessica, I would actually like to ask if you could just remind us again where we should be and what we should do next, and then what we should do if we're going to deviate. Thank you.
Yeah, so I appreciate that comment. Yes, I think it's really hard for us to follow this. So where we are currently is we're supposed to be making a decision of confirming if we want to have a next work session. It sounds like we do, and what we were talking about from Catherine's point of view, what I was hearing is to be a little bit more strategic about what we're wanting to present to City Council in a more efficient way. We talked around a lot of that. So do we want to so first of all, do we want to meet the first Thursday in July for a work session?
This is Jeanette. I will
Sounds
not
like-
be available either that day.
Okay. So Jeanette's not available, Catherine's not available. Are others also? That's also like 4th of July week. Are others available?
I am available that day, but there may not be sufficient.
So I think it was Wolfgang said I am available, and someone said I'm not. I don't know if that was Linda.
I am.
This is Wolfgang. I didn't say anything, but I am available.
It sounded like I heard you saying you were available. So would it just be Wolfgang available? Potentially me? Mary, are you available?
I am available, yes.
Okay. So do we want, and Andy, Andy, are you not available?
Yeah, I'm out of town over the holiday.
Should we
Okay.
move it to
So
the
is-
following week because of the holiday?
I'm available on the 13th.
Isn't it correct? Normally we have it standing for the first Thursday of every month, Todd?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated because
can't move.
I think that, I've reserved these from January 1 of this year till the end of time. And I think other people may have done the same. PCOB meeting is on the 13th at
Okay.
6:30 here. And so I do have the reservation on the books for the 6th. I haven't posted notice yet, waiting for the decision here.
If we wanted to have
Right,
it on the
yeah, Todd,
13th.
that's what I was asking. I don't know how the 13th got thrown in there. I kept saying the first Thursday, which is July 6th. Was that okay for everyone to be?
Sorry, then we moved on to a discussion of should we move it because so many people weren't available. That's how the 13th came up.
Okay, I didn't.
And the question I had is, could we, and we haven't resolved this obviously, but if we wanted to move it to the 13th, could that be one of our virtual meetings? Such that we wouldn't be competing with someone else for this space? I mean, I'm available on the 6th, it's fine, but it just seems like it would be better if more people were available.
Let's just.
I think we should,
Okay.
not meet because so few people are available. And instead we meet August 3rd, should be the next one. This is Wolfgang. That was Wolfgang.
So I think I heard you saying to not meet because there's not a lot of people that would be able to attend, and just move it, agreeing to meet in advance for next month. So the following month, August the 3rd.
This is Wolfgang, yes.
This is Catherine, can I make a proposal? There's nothing that precludes us from having a work session during our regular meeting in July. So could we just put a work session on the agenda for July? Because we don't have a lot, I don't think, to do.
Yeah, we can, Catherine. I just was trying to do what's on the agenda.
Right, well, I
I'm
mean,
fine
since
with the
so
work-
many people are out of town and we can't move the meeting, let's just have the work session during our meeting. How do people feel about that?
This is Jeanette. I think that sounds good. I also liked Todd's suggestion about having someone come and speak about the legislative initiatives that we'll be putting forth, and I wonder about the timing on that.
I don't know who could do that, because we don't
We don't know who they are
know
yet.
who our legislators
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not to have the work session in July and just proposing to have it as a work session. But other things that I was hearing, so the things for this work session are to talk about, potentially either have someone come and talk to us about legislative initiatives, and then having a work session about how we can efficiently identify what that may look like, and also strategize about how we can present it to city council, because I've heard numerous times from many people in the room today, or a few people in the room today, about city council, we're submitting it to city council, but they are not acting on it. How, and for Todd's comment of how to better formulate a more active relationship with city council. Is that the nature of the work session, or did I miss something?
Sure.
That was my understanding of what was said.
Okay, so any other comments about this? So we will not have a work session on July 6th, but we will have a work session during our regular meeting on July 20th to talk about legislative initiatives that will turn into potential recommendations to city council and strategies for city council. Okay, then we're gonna move to public comment. I don't think there's anyone from the public here anymore. Nope. And we'll move to, are there any commissioner updates? Okay. So next steps, Todd will modify per what we discussed today, I think. Todd, you'll be sending me the updated draft of the resolution for me to sign, and then we will have our work session on July 20th. Did I miss any other next steps? Todd, did I miss anything?
Just maybe I'll say it because I know that a few people committed to doing things. Victoria would send the invitation to the open house to everybody, and I think there was a request for upcoming tabling opportunities. And then Jeanette, I think you said you would send out the Module 3 information from the CEVO plans
I
together.
can send it to you. This is Jeanette. Victoria, when you send the community events, can you also re-include the link for the partner events, just so we always have those two links?
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I'll send you the module so you can send it with everything else.
Beautiful, thank you.
transcript says you're sending the money, so.
I'm
legally obligated.
You're not very articulate, am I?
On the record for foible.
Yeah.
I heard what you said, Todd. There was a couple of action items from Victoria. There was a sign-up sheet, and she was gonna send us some tabling opportunities. And she, Victoria will also be sending us that video clip. Is that what I heard?
Oh, the open house invitation.
Right, that's what I was saying. Okay, the open house invitation. All right. Anything else that I missed, Todd?
Nope.
All right then. Well, we will adjourn at 7:58 p.m. Eastern. Thank y'all, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.